how has the adoption of, cloud deployment gone in your neck of the woods?
It's quite amazing when you think about some of the messaging you hear about SAP Business One. And sometimes you actually hear it from SAP as well. Unfortunately, from my perspective, oh no, SAP Business One is not a cloud solution. It's an on-premises solution, and if you want an SAP cloud solution, you have to buy product X or product Y. Well, I think the current statistics, even from SAP, are I think 70% of all new SAP Business One deployments, and there's a lot of those because the product's still growing in double digits every year, which is a good message, good news for those of you using SAP Business One. The product's not going anywhere. 70% of those new customers are actually being deployed in the cloud. And more customers are moving their deployments to the cloud. And there's a couple of very specific reasons for this. I can go into that, but I think, Carl, you had a specific question about the advantages for customers.
Well, yeah, in terms of, what are the advantages to a customer over being, having an on-premises deployment? What would you tell them? I know what I hear, but, what's the Richard Duffy story?
Well, the Richard Duffy story is actually based very much on what customers are telling me. So, every year customers, assuming they're not on a subscription license for their SAP Business One, but every year a customer pays an annual maintenance fee. That entitles them to get the very latest versions of the software and the very latest technologies of SAP Business One. But you have to be up to date. You have to be up to date on your hardware. You have to be up to date on your operating systems. And your hardware has to be, for want of a better term, powerful enough to drive some of these new innovations, things like the new web client, things like the service layer, the API gateway, all of these things that make SAP Business One such a great digital core and allow it to be seamlessly connected with so many different products, either directly utilizing the SAP Business One service layer or through tools like what you guys have built there at Vision 33, Saltbox, these integration tools. So people need to have that capability. They need to have that power of processing behind it. And, a lot of customers are just suddenly finding, hey, our hardware is just not going to cut it. It's too old. It's out of warranty. We're at that point in our refresh cycle where we need to move. So there's that consideration, which is a big one. So that's if you're an existing customer. Also, of course, COVID and the work from home movement drove a lot of that momentum. Although we were already seeing a fairly significant shift to cloud before the pandemic hit, and we just saw that continue. Just people probably put their foot on the accelerator a little bit more and said, we were thinking about doing this next year, but we have to do it now. And the great thing about delivering Business One in a multi-tenant environment, I'll talk about what that is in a second. Great thing about Business One in a multi-tenant environment, it's very quick to spin a customer up. I mean, we just migrated a customer on Friday. They spoke to us, or their partners brought them to speak to us on Thursday. They made the decision during that meeting, yep, this is what we want to do. And it took us an hour on Friday afternoon to migrate them from SAP Business One 9.1 on-premises to SAP Business One version 10 feature pack 2202, which is the latest currently available version in the cloud. Now, I'm not saying that you as a potential customer should expect that every migration is going to take an hour, because of course it depends on the complexity. This customer, no add-ons to speak of, and relatively straightforward deployment that they had. So, it was very, very quick. So, customers are looking for that. They want that ability to move to the cloud quickly. So speed and agility is important. Then the third thing, I think, is a combination of, well, let's call it affordability. So as many of you will be aware, many of you as customers have got your SAP on a subscription model where you pay per user per month. At the end of every year, you renew your subscription. You can add users at any time during the year. And then at the end of the year, end of your contract period, if you like, you can reduce those numbers and what have you. So people like that flexibility. And then you pay for the same thing. You pay for access to the hardware, the access to the cloud hosting service on a, certainly from our model, on a per user per month basis. And our customers love that. They particularly love the fact that, and we're a little bit different. So again, if you're contemplating cloud, you need to ask these questions because our model isn't the same as for everybody. We do a minimum of one user for a minimum of 1 month, and we don't ask people to sign contracts. So customers really love that flexibility. We've never lost a customer. We haven't had a customer come to us and say, well, yeah, we were with you for a month. It really stank and we want out. So we've never lost a customer, and we give customers a contract that they can sign if they want to. We don't enforce it, and they don't frankly want it either. So that flexibility is the other thing that makes it so important. So summarizing, access to the latest technology, the ability to be flexible in how they help their workforce be more effective, and affordability are probably the three key drivers, Carl.
Yeah, you talked about what I'll call end of life issues. A lot of customers don't upgrade their systems until their server is end of life, their operating system is end of life, and then it's, well, I guess we'll update the software also since we have to get a new server and a new operating system. Now, what's the change there, right? When you're in a cloud environment, and especially MTE, what happens?
Yeah. Okay. So, when you say MTE, that's like multi-tenant environment. So just quickly, for those of you who aren't aware of what multi-tenant environment is. So with cloud, you've usually got two deployment models. You can have one deployment model where you have your own set of cloud infrastructure, everything that you need from the database server through to the application servers that deliver the application, through to web servers and the servers that drive the service layer and the web client, and even in many respects, a domain controller that manages all of the user accounts and security. In a single tenant, you have all of that infrastructure and you have to pay for it. So you might need, let's say, four or five servers. You pay for all of it. In a multi-tenant environment, thanks to some technology that's been built by SAP called the Cloud Control Center, which we use in our scenario, what you can do is almost all of those servers can be accessed by multiple customers securely. So each customer has their own deployment, and it's secured and partitioned away from every other customer, but they have access to all of that power, all of that flexibility, and they're only paying for a share of that hardware. So that's one of the reasons why multi-tenant is so important, and so many customers are moving to that multi-tenant environment, and why they're doing that when they move away from that older style hardware. Again, the key driver of it is affordability and speed of deployment.